Do you have a clunk in your vehicle and you don't know what it is? If you're unsure if you have a sway bar link bad, follow along. I'll help you confirm that noise by matching up to the noise that I'm having. I'm also going to show you how to diagnose it. And I'll show you how to quickly replace it. They're some of the easiest, fastest, cheapest replacements on most vehicles, front and rear.
Sway bar links are simple yet vital components for the ride, handling, and safety of your vehicle's steering and suspension. They make a ton of noise because links connect the suspension to the body of the car, which magnifies the sound. So anytime they get even just a little bit loose, it sounds like a part might fall off your car. The reason there's so much noise is the little end links on the top or bottom of a sway bar link are getting loose and worn out inside. Rattle and clunk and make noise, and that's basically the only warning you're gonna get. If it does it long enough, all of a sudden the noise goes away. Sway bar link is going to separate or it's gonna break. Could have a catastrophic failure.
I have seen a tire puncture from that. Definitely stop driving. If the sway bar link breaks on one side, you could have your bar reposition itself a little bit too much one way or the other. If you have both links break, now the bar can also slide back and forth through the bushing. Also going to have the ends just kind of dangling. While you're turning, your tires come into the wheel wells back and forth and they get even closer to the sway bar link. Let's say you had one that wasn't making noise easily, but you knew the noise was there. You can stress test your sway bar links and bushings and bar, create some vehicle sway, force it to try to stabilize the vehicle. Only do this at slow speeds in a parking lot. We're going about 5-10 miles an hour right now. Also make sure you don't have any loose things that could rattle and make noise inside the trunk of your car. The curb going in and out of your garage. It does it every time backing up. So another good idea, if you know where your links are, if you have someone shake the car, you can grab a hold of the link and you can feel if it's loose or not. Grabbing a hold of the sway bar link, which is connected to the strut here, I can actually feel the looseness. Front sway bar and sway bar link. This is the side it seems to be coming from. This is the sway bar link. You can see this is your sway bar. Now this goes all the way to the other side. This style happens to be fastened to the strut. Always going to be attaching the suspension on the upper strut mount or this lower control arm. That bar will attach to a bushing, and that's attached to this subframe right here. This is the same one piece of bar. Comes all the way across. Another bushing right there. On this side, it's a duplication of the sway bar link. So there's your whole system. Quick, easy way to test bushings. Wiggle the bar, which is the same for the sway bar links. I'm shaking the camera here, but there's no play in that bushing. That's my hand squeaking on it. You're trying to feel looseness. Clunk, 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 clunk. The play or the looseness that you're going to find is always in these little miniature ball joints. So there's one on each end. A lot of times you'll be able to see it. Sometimes you'll just be able to feel it. That's all I need to know, that this sway bar is worn out and ready for replacement. Now this one up here is pretty tight. The rubber bushing should isolate typical noise, but it won't isolate bangs and clangs and clunks and clicks like this. If either side is loose, you replace each sway bar link at a minimum. It's not a horrible idea just to replace one. Totally doable, nothing wrong with it. I do recommend doing both sway bar links in pairs because they have similar or like wear. The other one will go bad shortly after this one. If these bushings aren't loose, I usually don't touch them until they are loose. There's usually 3 main categories of parts durability. Aftermarket options, those are available online or at a parts store. Drawback to OEM is you might have to wait to get the part because you have to order it. Cheap ones will last 6 to to 12 months. Usually a little more readily available from multiple sources. Premium brand of aftermarket sway bar link. Sometimes those will include a Zerk fitting. You could put grease in it every single day. Still only gonna get 12 to 36 months out of it. If you're keeping your car, OEM is always gonna be your best option. It'll just make your life a lot easier. Links in the description below, all 3 options. All of this should be the same on the back of the vehicle, but it will look a little bit different. We have a link right here. We have our bar, goes all the way across over here to this link. Bushing here, and you got a bushing here. All cars are a little bit different, but they're all gonna have these same components. They all perform the exact same function. Some are shorter, some are longer. Tie rod ends on the end of each link. There's bushings that you through bolt on each end of the link. Sometimes it's just a straight bolt, and you stack the bushings on the top and stack them on the bottom to connect them to the suspension. Access is the key. There's a lot of room in the back on this particular car. You could quite easily replace all these components without even jacking the car up. They don't hold any weight on those bars. All the weight is supported by the coil springs on each side. If there's twist in the vehicle, that bar turn into a spring. Do it on the ground, or whether you raise and support on jack stands or on a hoist. The nice part about lifting it up is the wheels droop and they're both even. Let's do a quick test of the back here. I'm gonna grab this bar. No play. Bar right here by the bushing. This bar right here. No play on this sway bar link either. So the back is good, no problems there. Be super careful when you're cutting and not cut the bar. You don't want to hit the CV shaft or the boot or this tie rod end. If you can access this nut, you could cut it right there. I'm going to cut right along this edge. This bar is made of spring steel, so it can flex. It can do this probably 1,000,000 miles and never have an issue. Slide out. How I ground that down and then just kind of pushed it through the hole. Just take your time, do whatever you can to not touch the bar and cut the stud on the sway bar link only. You're gonna lube this up with some penetrating oil and then get a hex that fits in there, get a wrench that works with this nut. Theoretically, these will back right out. So the rust is the problem for me. Hold on to that. You can back this nut off, especially if you got an impact. Tear the boot, it'll squirt grease all over that. Make your job a whole lot harder. If you don't live in Michigan and you don't have this much rust, you probably are a lot better off overall. Well, we tried. Too rusted. Diablo. Don't hit your strut. Just try to pull the metal through there, force it through that hole, because that doesn't hurt anything. If you had an air hammer, you just hit it from the backside. El Prior Barrow. I prefer to do one side at a time because it keeps the bar in position. Well, this bar is kind of down low. It is advantageous to do both sides at the same time so this bar is loose and you can swing it right up here, and then you might be able to get an impact on the back side. We'll swivel all the way up and down. So if I start the sway bar link right here, I might be able to get a swivel on it just to get it initially tightened. Allen head and a wrench. Definitely a great way to do it. For me, this is also great and it's faster. And I'm gonna tighten them like that on both sides. I'm gonna finish tightening those bottom ones in a second here. But I'm just gonna pull this down and put our link through there. Tops are really tight, and what I'm going to do is take this big long wrench and tighten the bottom. I've seen these fasteners loosen up, create the same kind of noise we had today. That is somewhat common if you don't get these nuts tight enough. All you got to do is tighten those nuts down and your problem is solved. That's pretty good. The old shake test, no play. Everything's tie rod end, it's a ball joint, that's a sway bar link. That is junk. You don't even have to install it to try it out. Brand new, shiny and nice. Both sides. I do not feel or hear lots of random noise, but no sway bar link noise whatsoever. Sway bar bushings usually last 2 to 4 times longer than a sway bar link. There just doesn't seem to be as much wear and tear. Links are gonna wear out first. Sway bar bushings are pretty much standard across any vehicle. It's just a rubber isolating bushing. If my arm was the bar, a clamshell, you can spread them apart and slide them on. There's a slit in the bushing right here, so you can slide the new one on like this and then put your strap back on. 2 bolts, you're done.
It's not the seatbelt. There's something that.
Alright, the seatbelt's making more noise.
Make sure all your clothes are on tight before you wiggle the steering wheel.
Last time